Hey, hello everyone, and welcome to the Hardcore Metal Testing Radio Show. I'm Derek Asklar, and Craig's on the line here. We'll be hosting the show tonight. Sorry about the late start. I was racing back from Tampa and didn't think I was going to make it back. I actually made it back about 10 after 8, but I had to get set up and everything. So just drove it like I stole it, and I didn't see no cops. That's a good thing. At least they ain't pulled up to take me away yet. So how you doing, Craig?
Oh, not too bad.
Yeah.
92 today.
Got 92 degrees.
Ready? Yep.
Holy cow. That's about as hot as we were down here. Matter of fact, you might have been more than we were. Shoot. I don't know. I've just been running in and out of the house. Like, you had to run here, run there, run down to Tampa. I'm like, man, just never seem to get a break, I see Jason Julian's on the line on chat there. Welcome, Jason. I'm sorry. So the last name's Julian. I always mess up names, Jason, so don't worry about it. But yeah, we just, we got started. I've been making these, got these detectors, Craig, and hopefully I'll be able to release. They're gonna post something up, and I'll be able to release some of the information I got on them already, and a video and stuff like that. So hopefully we get those, and I can kind of talk more about these detectors I've been messing with here. I'm quite impressed with what I've seen so far on them. So I think you guys will be too. It's just impressive the technology that as these machines come out. Every year it seems a little bit better. This one kind of floored me in what these do. But yeah, well, hopefully in the next week or so, I'll be able to talk about it a little bit more in depth and stuff. And I think, I don't know, Craig, you saw what I did with it. Very impressive recovery delay and
oh yeah,
all that. I mean, it was just like,
definitely.
Holy cow! For some of these detectors, they're low end, but they got like mid-level capabilities. For price range. So you're getting a lot for your money with these, I think, anyways. I'm going to enjoy using it and figuring it all out. So, but yeah, other than that, man, I've just been running around like crazy and trying to get a few things done. I want to try to get out and do some hunting this weekend, try to make plans to go down to the beach and do some beach hunting and maybe get together with Mike Miller and possibly Mark Hoover if I can get a hold of him, not this weekend, but the following weekend. And maybe head down there just to horse around and see what we can find there. See if I can find some goodies anyways. It'd be nice to find a nice big old fat gold ring for once. I haven't found one in a while on the beach, so I need to work harder to find one of those. I've been finding silver rings, but that's kind of like six one half dozen of the other. If you're finding lead sinkers, you're in the gold range, so I just haven't got my coil over one yet, I don't think. Of course, that beach is hit so hard, Craig, it's not funny. I mean, there's always like 500s out there, so you got to really, really get into those cuts and stuff like that and really work differently to find stuff. Mike Miller seems to do really good down there, too. We always come out with a fine bag full of stuff, whether it's probably, mostly clad and toys and a few pieces of jewelry. Mike seems to have pretty good luck with that. He always seems to find some gold somehow and get in there in these little gold pendants and stuff like that. And last time he got an 18 karat gold pendant, just the pendant, not the chain at all. But I was just kind of shocked how small it was, and he hit it, pretty good right there. So I'll take my, couple of the detectors down there and give it a shot and see what we come up with. But these have assault modes and stuff on them, so. All we can do is try, Craig, right? And that's the way it is. Hardcore review. Yeah. I put them to the test, man. I don't pull no punches with them. If they don't work, I say they don't work. So, but I'm thinking they will. I mean, everything I'm seeing so far is just kind of neat. But what have you been up to, Craig? I mean, you mentioned something about talking to somebody today from out of the country or something.
Yeah, I got a message from this. I guess he's a teenager and he's in Austria, and he wanted to know about this cob that I found, and he thought it was pretty unusual to find them, in the United States that old, and so turns out he's into treasure hunting, and he's from Austria, I guess he's about an hour from Vienna.
Yeah.
And he said that he was as soon as he became 18, he was legal. He would be going to Canada. He wanted to become a Canadian citizen, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
But he was showing me pictures of this archaeological. Well, it was basically a treasure hunting shipwreck type
Mm-hmm.
group, and they also do land stuff too. And looked like pretty professional group.
Right.
And I guess he chats with the son, and the father seems to have a doctorate degree.
Hmm.
So the looks pretty cool. That they got a basically it's professional shipwreck hunting and stuff.
Right.
And
well, there's a lot of wrecks up there, anyways. Even in the Great Lakes, there's a ton of wrecks. Lake Erie, man, I tell you, no telling what you'd find out there. I mean, just.
But anyway, he wanted to know, where I found certain stuff, and I said, I found Cobb down in Alexandria, but I'm up in Middletown right now, and I live right on, I call it my battlefield yard.
Mm-hmm.
Right on, right down the street, the Union Army retreated from Front Royal, and there's all kinds of activity around here that's crazy. As far as Civil War stuff, but anyway, he said that he had a CTX 3030, and he started showing pictures, and he had two of the most beautiful silver denarius Roman coins I've ever seen. I mean, the detail, it was shocking. It looked like the one, and he said the treasure hunter people were, saying that they really liked that one, and I said, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
But it looked like it was in mint condition. It was crazy.
Every once in a while, you find those coins like that where they just, they were minted or whatever, and they had them, and they dropped them, like recently after they got them, and they're in pristine condition. I have a V nickel like that. It almost had the shine to it. I mean, all the details there and everything else. Usually V nickels are shot, toasted most of the time, but I figured it was dropped pretty recent after the time they got it. It wasn't beat up like a lot of them are, but it's kind of cool that he finds Roman coins like that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but so I guess it's amazing. I hear all these people stuff they find over there. I was watching one of Jeff Millard's latest videos, and he took this English, an American guy that actually used to, I don't know if he still does, I think he teaches English to schools over there in Austria.
Right.
Anyway, I hadn't seen him in a video in a while, and he got two silver denarius in one day in this one field, and two fibulas, and I think two bronze coins. And Jeff got I think it was 4 bronze coins, and I think a hammered coin. And,
right.
This is one that I think one time he went in this field, and he stepped into the field, like 1 or 2 steps, and dug a hammered coin right there, and ended up, I think he got 7 that day.
Jeez, I'd settle for 1.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
But I was sitting there going, it's just the history over there, and he finds coins, from the 1800s, even the 1700s, unless they're hammered, it's not that exciting,
Right. Well, it isn't for him. For us, it'd be interesting. No, it's that sight envy again, sight envy. Yeah. This stuff is. I really think that there's a lot of stuff around, even still. We talk about this a lot in the hobby. The sites are drying up and stuff, but as more people get into the hobby and more properties get sold and bought and all that stuff, you're always going to have spots to hunt, but and then spots that people haven't hit yet. I mean, I don't think we're going to have a problem with that for at least another 20 years before we have to worry about anything. But, you just look around, you drive around, and, I was driving out of Tampa. I said, well, that field looks pretty good. That field looks pretty good. Just kind of I'm always eyeballing places to go. But you start getting into a lot more depth. Well, Brandon does that. He goes by, a lot of old maps and following walls, and you just do whatever you have to do to find it, those good spots like that, and go the extra little bit of effort, to go over the next hill kind of thing to see what's over there. That's the best way to do it. A lot of the sites I find, they're just really, and in places you wouldn't think, they're just really good. I've been out in the middle of fields, and the owner says, "Oh, there's never been anything out there since since I've ever heard of. My great grandfather had the property and everything." And all of a sudden, I started finding house parts and doorknobs and hinges and plumbing parts and whatever. It's like, okay, something had to be out here. It just wouldn't be sporadic like this, or not sporadic, but like in one location and work your way out, and you start finding coins and anytime you have activity. Even iron, I hear guys talking about, he was found a bunch of nails out there. Sometimes you got to work your way out from the nails, and that could have been where a structure was. And they, some of these, the newer people of the hobby, when you start finding iron, and especially square nails, old iron, you start working out from there because you're going to find an area where you can actually detect pretty good. But there, if it had that kind of activity and nails and everything right there, then there had to have been something else around it. Somebody lived there. Somebody, they stayed there somewhere. And it's just like almost like sight reading, whatever. You're just kind of going with the flow. But, if you get into an area where you're just not finding anything, sometimes there's just nothing there to find. I get that every once in a while. I know, Craig, you have too. You go in a spot that's supposed to have a bunch of stuff, and you're lucky if you find one good thing out of the whole, acre lot or 2 acre lot or whatever. And just either they cleared it off, and that's what they do down here. They fill in a lot of spots. They scrape off the topsoil and everything, and they build a foundation, or even fill it in. It's like a lower lying area. They fill it in and level it off, and the grass grows, and you got 2 foot of fill dirt, and you can't get to the older stuff that you knew was there. I mean, it's just so doggone deep that you can't get to it. So you do have those situations, but most of the time, at least you find something. You can't find treasure every time you go out, but you stick with it. And if you hunt a place 2 or 3 times, you're just not finding anything, then there may not be anything to find, or you may need to get a detector that's a little bit more powerful. It's out of the limitations of the detector you have. You need to upgrade it into something that has a more depth and better target separation, that kind of thing, to get in there. But I see got Chris Engel on the line tonight too. Chris and Jason, a few other people there. I'm trying to see here. Shoot, my eyeballs aren't working real good. That sun was super bright today. You said it was 92 there, Craig. I don't even know how hot it was here. It didn't seem that bad. About 4 o'clock or so. I don't know. I think it was in the upper 80s anyway.
There was no. It was weird. There was no humidity. Just
hot. Just hot.
Yeah. Well, it didn't feel that hot. Compared to what I thought it would. Be 92. But so everything's popped out now. It's like all the trees are greening up and everything.
Yeah. I watched a show, and it's on topic in a way, but you ever watch that show, Ancient Aliens? The series, they talk more or less, and they kind of.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching a couple episodes of that while I was doing some editing, and they had one about the pyramids in general. Of course, Egypt all has them, but they were showing everywhere they were at, and they actually fly. I need to watch the episode again because when they were showing a map of where where they were at, where the pyramids are at, and of course for the whole world, showing how they line up and everything. They actually had a dot in the United States, and I want to say it was. It looked like a lot like Arkansas, or right in that tri-state area is where the dot looked like. And I have to look back at it again because I wanted to mention it on the show tonight, Craig, have you ever heard of any kind of, pyramid-like structures in the U.S.? I know they have them in South America, of course, Aztecs and Mayans and all that stuff, but I didn't know. I guess I'll have to rewatch it. It was like season 5 or something like that. That's one thing I like about Netflix. I can go back and watch these shows, and they get kind of harpy about aliens and all that stuff. But the information they have, the experts, so to speak, were talking about it, and it made a lot of sense. Some of the stuff they were saying. I try to keep an open mind about that stuff, but I was kind of surprised to see that.
Could have been like a Aztec or something.
I don't know. I mean, they never did say. I mean, or I didn't hear them, but it was like they were just showing a map of where pyramids were, and they so South America, and of course they had the United States and Canada there, but there was a dot in the United States, and I don't know what that was considered. They never did mention it, but these layers, they actually, I don't know even how to bring this one up other than they were talking about the Grand Canyon. I think this was another show, and they were talking about how the water washed out, and that's what cut the Grand Canyon out over whatever hundreds of thousands of years, millions of years, and they had these layers. They were showing the strata layers, and you could see as it went up the side of the mountain, like real green, like straight across the lines of where the sediment had settled. And then it'd be rock, and then another layer, and they were saying these are all layers. And I thought to myself, I wonder if they were ever found anything in there metal-wise, that in those layers, because they said the way that the water came in and it was filled all the way up, and then when it went down, of course, you have the Grand Canyon, really deep and everything like that. And it was a major flood at some time in our history, or way back even. I didn't. Stuff getting washed over and buried and erosion and the way the rivers, can change, even nowadays can change not direction, but their path. And they kind of reroute themselves in these big storms and stuff. What happened in California, last year when they had all the rains and it washed out and it kind of brought back the gold, uncovered a lot of gold that they were, that they were.
Oh yeah. Washed out all the gold that was too deep to find before.
Right, and washed it out from where it was settling at. Something to keep.
I talked to one guy that he found just practically in his backyard, the stream that he found gold. He hadn't found any, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 years, something like that.
Right.
And he went out there, I think, for 3 hours, and he had 4 or 5 fairly good sized nuggets.
Yeah.
Right after that storm.
Yeah, it's crazy.
He says this has made the whole thing, brought the whole industry back.
Right. It's out there. I mean, it's just not in those streams either. It's probably all around. Just got to get to it, and the streams cut it out.
Well, it's like you said. Some of these streams, move. Some of them are way down in the ground.
Right.
And there's gold down there. And they've been covered up by sediment, dust and all kinds of stuff over thousands of years. But 10,000 years or even more.
Yeah.
Who knows? It
could be millions of years.
And some of these guys go for these deep. They go straight down where they think there might be a old, creek bed, and that's where they get the big strikes. But
right.
It's tricky on it. Sometimes you get all the way down there and there's nothing there.
Well,
I've seen a lot of guys try to go, get under these waterfalls. And, get, the gold might be down in there. And
well, they talked about ancient waterfalls in one of the, I think it was Gold Rush. When that came out, they were digging, they dug this huge, 200 foot down or some god awful thing, these big excavators and everything, and they were talking that they think they had found a old waterfall, the base of an old waterfall, and they got way down in there, and these rocks were coming out just like cruddy green almost and everything else, and they ended up finding some gold there, not like they thought, but it was just deposited, and then a sediment comes in and kind of covers it over after all that time, and you do have riverbeds, stream beds, and stuff like that under our feet, that we may not even know about, depending on what area you live in. And, you know, I live right next to the Withlacoochee River, and knowing Florida back then, how much water there was, I mean, there could be stream beds right underneath my house right here. You just never know. Um, Sometimes you can look at topo maps and stuff and get an idea. You know, it's not my area special, you know, a specialty or of, you know, trying to find stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of guys that know how to read those maps really good and kind of pick them out, you know, the areas, the low-lying areas where the water would have traveled to. And you never know, you might come across something there too. I mean, you're not going to know unless you look, you know. And well, like your buddy that found the Indian village that nobody could find, he finds it, and you know, they didn't believe it at first. He had to show them. You know, your neighbor there that does the tours and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, that was
Yeah.
an interesting story too. He just, you know, he's sitting there telling me, hey, this is where the Indian village was. There's the dam right there. Well, it's not a dam, it's a wall. He goes, look at it. It's a dam, you know, it's not, and it was, you know, so he actually made a discovery and that nobody else could find it, you know, so we do a lot of good that way too. And we have some towns, you know, like ghost towns and stuff. They're in every state. I mean, we have like 20 ghost towns here.
You know,
in
the
Florida.
trouble with, you know, some of these people, they've never really been out exploring in the woods and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, it takes a while. I mean, you know, it's like me finding arrowheads. You know, it took a while, and all of a sudden, my subconscious just started telling me there's one on the ground. You know,
Yep.
it was like I didn't even have to look anymore. I just walk and I'd see them. You know, and it's crazy, but you know, it takes experience, and you know, it took years. You know, and it finally, you know, I made a concerted effort after I found one, just, you know, by accident almost. I decided, you know, there's got to be more, and anything white, I just started picking it up. And after a year or so, all of a sudden, I was just finding them, you know, without even having to really look. But my dad was like that. I you know, I couldn't believe it. He would find airheads just walking along, and I'd be all over the ground for hours looking. I couldn't find one. I finally found one, I think, a really nice one. But I just, you know, it's like, God, how does he do it?
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I told my buddy about it, you know, about he arrowhead hunts or used to, and you know, he has like, I don't know, the last time I looked, he had 4 5-gallon buckets that were just full of points and, you know, arrowheads and stone things and scrapers and everything else. He just has that knack, man. He can go out there, and I arrowhead hunted with him one time. We were kind of, you know, we didn't spend the day out there or nothing like that. It was a couple hours, but you know, I was finding shards like everywhere, but he didn't pick up any of those. He just picking up arrowheads, and nice ones too. I mean, they're some of these ones down here are really, really kind of cool colored, you know, white and red, and you know, just the stone that they found, the flint stone they found, is really neat. But he has a real knack for it. I just talked to him the other day. I finally met up with him, and I was telling him that I need to get out there because he has a skid steer and all that stuff. You know, he clears property and trims trees, all that stuff. He has all the equipment for it, but he'll get done clearing a piece of property, and he says, you know, we'll go back out there in a day or so when if it rains or whatever, and go out looking for arrowheads. So I'm waiting on a call from him now. He has a property he's clearing out for somebody. It's like a 2-acre lot, but it's better. You just never know where you're going to find this stuff. I found it over here a mile from my house when they were clearing out for a store to go in, and they dug out all the topsoil. But before they did that, when they cleared the property, I was out there the next day. So it was about 12 other people from around the neighborhood just kind of walking around out there, and there was several points found and some scrapers and stuff like that. I thought it was right, not even a quarter mile from my house. So, you know, they're all, of course, we're right along the river too, so that's like a highway. You know, you start learning this stuff, you know, over the years, and that's why I like hunting with other people too. I mean, you get an idea of where they're hunting at and what they're looking for, and then you can kind of associate that for your area. You know, even though I live in Florida and like you live up in Virginia, I start looking for stuff down here that, you know, you told me not to take for granted. You know, you tell me, okay, this is where the trenches were or whatever. This is what it looks like. So I start looking for that kind of indentations in the ground and stuff, even though it may not be a trench or whatever, but it was obviously put in there for some reason. And now overgrown or what have you, they disc a field or, you know, get all that brush knocked down, all the weeds knocked down. You can get in there with your metal detector or even just walk it and just kind of see what you can see. because they'll bring up, even with the disc, they'll bring up a lot of old metal and stuff like that if it's out there to find to begin with. I find old wagon parts and plow blades and you just a plethora
It was
of
funny.
stuff.
One time, this well-known author that I knew that did a lot of relic hunting books and stuff, and he took us to this place up in Fredericksburg, and
Mm-hmm.
the place had been, hit hard for years, and so we were walking around, and I got in this one area, and I found a bunch of percussion caps. It was when I was first starting to use the Bliss tool a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a brown ball down about 13 inches deep, and I think I got maybe 3 or 4 bullets that day. Oh, and I got a really nice button that it was like a civilian button, but it was probably worn by a Confederate.
Right.
It was all gold with little tiny stars all over it, and they called it the relic hunters called it the battlefield button or something like that, or the battle star button.
Battlestar button. There you go.
Yeah. But anyway, we were up, and right when the reason I started hunting that little area was I could see a trench, off maybe 40 or 50 yards away through the woods, and so he walked up and he was like, and I said, "Hey, we ought to head over there. There's a trench." And he goes, "There's no trenches around here." I go, "Well," I said, "what's that look like?" So we walk up, and he goes, "That's a trench."
Yeah.
Yeah, I said, "I could see it from, way out." I mean, to me, it just stuck out.
Yeah.
But some trenches, they're not really built up on the sides. Some of them
They're
are
subtle.
really built up.
Yeah, they're subtle.
And then some of them are eroded.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know. But,
Yeah, might be a little indentation in the ground, but it'll be noticeable through there.
I've been in areas where on battlefields, back in the past, they had double trenches, like fallback trenches,
Mm-hmm.
Already built, for the battle.
Yeah, I get.
It's incredible. I mean, some of them would go, for a mile or so,
Yeah, guys, I see Jason and Chris both here talking. Jason was saying he was, if we had any information on the Macro multi-cruiser, he's been researching and stuff, and he was wanted to see how it compared to the Knox 800, and he didn't want to wait 3 or 4 months to get his first machine. And Chris was mentioning Deus and E-Track from years ago. And I have, and like I said, I can't give you the name out yet. I'm going to talk to the guy and see if I can just start talking about it. One of the machines that I'm working with right now, you guys may seriously like. I'm not going to compare it to anything because I haven't had enough time with it yet to make that judgment. I'm going to say right off the bat, it's definitely in some areas a very big competitor on recovery delay and dealing with EMI, stuff like that. But this machine is very cost effective compared to, like a $1,500 machine or something. It's a lot less than that. But what it does, the functionality of it, and that's what's impressed me so far with it. And I haven't really even taken it out of the box yet. A little, not the one I'm talking about. Some of the earlier models I am, and they're very good for what they do. So I'll definitely get you the information. But I don't know anything about the Macro multi-cruiser. I haven't really looked into that one at all. I know the Macro. I had was it Macro Racer, Craig? I think that's what it was. Just don't waste your time with that one. It's not what you're going to be looking for as a comparable to like a Deus or an Equinox or anything in that range right there. It just doesn't have that. I mean, it's an okay detector. Just not. If you're any kind of experience or want to do any serious metal detecting, you're probably not going to want that particular one. But I've heard something about the macros. It's like Nokta. Nokta has a newer machine out, or I've heard it's pretty good. I haven't really even dealt with Nokta. The Gold Sense, I think, is the last one I messed with, and it wasn't a bad machine, but I didn't like the resonance it put off, or the way they have it set up for the sound, resonant sound. Uh, it just, it's, some of these machines you just got to put in your hand and use them, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Is this kind of
Yeah, a couple guys I talked to that have them. One guy, he's had quite a few machines, and he said that he coin hunts mostly in jewelry,
right.
but he said it really hits a lot harder on the deeper coins. That that's what, and it seems to read the coins that on the meter deeper on the Nocta, but it does have some quirks. I don't know exactly what they are, but all machines have quirks.
Oh yeah, there's always they all can't be totally perfect. You always seem like you have one part that could be a little bit better or not. The one thing I noticed with this one, Craig, that I'm messing with now is the pinpoint on this thing. And I'm just gonna label them A and B metal detectors because it doesn't matter what brand. Some of them do it good, some don't. But I was noticing how well this one pinpoints as far as depth. I mean, a lot of the machines I've had said, it could be a nickel at 4 inches, and you pinpoint it, it says 7 inches down on every 4-inch target. It's not calibrated right or it's not reading right. And a lot of screen machines do that. I mean, once you get past a certain depth with some of them, they may give you a good signal, but they're not showing up a good VDI and stuff. It's kind of more of a reference. I always tell people when you have a screen machine, it's simply a reference. Listen to what the machine's telling you in the tones. You listen for high peaks and there's something in there, but the screen may not give you any decent information at all sometimes, especially if you're using like example of like AT Pro with the tornado coil from Nell. I mean, it's a damn good coil. You'll get deeper items and stuff, but even Brandon will tell you it's not going to read up a VDI number very good, but it's going to tell you when by tone that there's something good down there. And you dig it up and it's copper, brass, whatever. You're looking for non-ferrous materials most of the time. But that's one of the things that this detector did very well. Even the low-end detector, Craig, did really well on that, considering, a lot of times I tell people to get into a detector, if they're getting into metal detecting, to start off with something low end to see if they like, the idea of metal detecting, going out there and doing it before you spend, a lot of money on a metal detector, and then use it one time and say, oh, I really hate this hobby and don't want to be in it or whatever. And maybe you're going to be hunting for something specific. Like if you're looking for gold, you're going to try your hand at gold prospecting with a metal detector. You're not going to want to buy just a regular Joe metal detector that can find coins and stuff. You're after gold, so you want to buy a gold machine. But you're not going to know that until you get into the hobby and kind of go with it. So it's nice to buy a lower end detector that has a performance of almost a mid-level, maybe halfway in there. So at least you can use it for a little while and you can decide to upgrade into the better models or, another brand. Doesn't really matter. But you can add these machines to your arsenal. And the good thing about buying a low-end detector that has really good performance is that you can keep that. And if you have a son or daughter, a grandkid, whatever, or even a neighbor kid that wants to learn how to metal detect, you don't, hey, use this. It's not going to break your heart or nothing if it doesn't, just stops working or something like that. You don't have any worries because you already have a better detector, but they can get into the hobby that way too. So you're kind of helping them out and showing them the ropes as far as metal detecting goes. So, a lot of these, there's a ton of metal detectors out there. I mean, Craig, you have to agree. There's so many that you could go out of your mind researching. But one of the best things, like we talk about, Chris Engel's real good about it, and Brandon and all of them are. They'll tell you which detector to think about getting if they've had any time with it. They're going to give you their honest opinion, and that's what counts. I mean, a salesperson can sell you anything, but they don't know if they haven't been out there with a machine or don't know about machines from the hobbyist standpoint. They know.
Well, there's also some trends that I predicted a few years ago that were going to happen. But one of them is all these machines are getting a lot lighter.
Yeah.
And they got this, more of a, it's not metal, it's, but kind of a different concept. Like the Deus has got that, I don't know what the, some kind of, crazy plastic, you can like bend it and it won't break.
Right.
It's, and yet it's really light. I mean, in the Equinox, they got, that machine is very light. And that's what people want. Minelab's always been heavy, pretty much.
How much does the Equinox weigh, Craig? Do you remember?
2.9 pounds.
Okay, that's the same weight as the one I'm using that I'm going to be using out here. It also, I know that most of those machines, when they're waterproof, they're good to 10 foot down in the water. This one's good to 16 feet. That may make a big difference to some people. But it's definitely, that's deeper than, well, I think my Beach Hunter ID I could take, I think it was good for 20 foot down in it, but I never dove with it or anything like that. But the overall construction of these machines is getting better and better. Like you said, they're using better products.
And also the price is coming down.
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
I mean, almost all of them are being, a lot of them are being made overseas, or they got parts coming from overseas now that are cheaper to get. The chips are coming down and getting faster.
Yeah, I mean, even the price range. I mean, you're talking about prices. I mean, I got a detector here that is under $500, the one, and it's definitely, I'd pay $650 for it. I'm serious, performance-wise, what it's doing, what the technology's doing, it's well worth it because it, high recovery delay speeds and very good sound. It has almost a nuance in it, and it's kind of like the recovery delay on these machines blew my mind. I mean, it's as fast. Craig, would you say that's just about as fast as a Deus? You heard it. I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, it is fast. I mean, I was like, holy cow! And this is a under a $300 machine and has a recovery delay that fast. That is not normal. Unless I think that they're able. There's more of these chips, more of this information out there, and the chips are being made a little bit less costly for them to make them because they've been out for the technologies have been out for a little while. That's the only thing I can come up with because really, these machines that I'm testing out now, they should be at least $100 or a couple $100 more. But I'm glad they're not. I mean, they're very affordable. That's one thing that kind of shocked me a little bit.
A couple other things that are kind of becoming almost normal now is wireless headphones and these LiPo batteries.
Right.
We don't have to buy batteries anymore. I was getting batteries for the Technics pinpointer, which I guess is called Quest now.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, you can either put two AA or you can put one 9-volt in. I use 9-volt.
That's what I used too.
And I was like, God, I think it was like $10 or something for a couple of them. I don't know, for the the good ones. I don't get the junky ones. But,
right.
But I use that. That's a lot of money nowadays for batteries.
Yeah, I talk about that a little bit on a couple shows back. And I'm not plugging them. I just know that's where you can get it. It's Dollar General, and you don't buy the heavy duty AA's because they don't last. They say heavy duty. Just buy the regular Dollar General brand. I think it's $5.50 for 20 AA batteries. I used to buy them for my wife's machines, and they lasted just about the same as Energizers or Duracells and stuff. At least I had an MXT and the White Spectre V3, and they would last. And it didn't cost me a ton of money because I was going through batteries. Like every second hunt, I'd have to replace the batteries because the voltage on most any detector I've ever had, once that voltage drops down to like 9.5 volts on the White's machines for sure, you started getting a falsing issue where it get hypersensitive. You replace the batteries and go back up to, the 11.9 volts or whatever, and the machine would stop it. And I know that, even with the Bliss tool or with the AT Pro, whatever, when the batteries start getting low, you'll know it because you'll say, man, this thing's awful noisy, or I'm getting EMI, or something's not right. You replace the battery, bam, it's fixed because they last a long time. It's like we have, in the Bliss tool, they have the LiPo battery 3-cell in there that will last 16 hours in turbo mode on our machine. But, when you get down to probably what, Craig, 10, 12 hours, you might want to charge it up because you're getting to that point now where you only have a few hours and it's going to start acting up because the voltage is going to, drop down. So you want to recharge it. I always tell guys to recharge them after they get back. And these machines I'm testing out now, 30 hours they'll go on. They have built-in LiPo batteries too. They have wireless headphones that come with them, waterproof. I mean, it has all the hallmarks of a, performance-wise, and what it does, the specifications are right up there. I just need to get it to the ground, and I've done that with the lower-end detector, and I'm really impressed with it. If it does anything, the other ones are better technology and everything. They wouldn't have brought them out if they weren't. But just getting them ready to go, and I think I'm gonna shoot a video with this mid-range detector, and I'm gonna leave it in presets right off the bat. I'm just gonna turn the machine on and do some testing with it. That's one thing a lot of the companies say too. They say, "Oh, turn on and go." Well, has any one of us ever done that? I mean, just turn it on and go? No, we've always turned it on, and the first thing we start doing, an experienced hunter, we're going to start moving levels around a little bit right off the bat. I want to see what this machine will do right out of the box because they have, like what we did with the Bliss tool. We have a preset where we know the machine will work for just about any environment. And that's what, Craig and I wanted to do for that machine so that everybody would have a general idea where to start out with it. And, these other companies do the same thing. They have their preset programs. So I think it's a good idea to start out with that, Craig. I think that's exactly what I'll do. Whatever the preset is, I'm not even going to ground balance the machine. I'm going to turn it on like somebody that's brand new to the hobby and didn't want to read the direction book or whatever, doesn't understand what they're reading because they haven't been, around that kind of technology before, what they would be able to achieve with the machine, just turning it on and detecting with it. And, I was just thinking about general tests with this machine because we all know, anybody who's been in the hobby knows that once, like a dime test, okay, we know that with a lot of the machines, once you get above that or below that 8-inch mark, like 8.5, 9 inches deep, a lot of the machines, they can't read up on a dime very well. They can grab it and then it lets go, or there's not very many that can do it at 9, 10, 11, 12 inches deep. But if you can set a standard there so that when you test a machine or when you buy a machine, if you do that and if it's able to get that 8-inch dime or deeper, the technology is a little bit better than what you have already. If you can't adjust the other machine that you've had to get that dime, and this one will get it right off the bat, well, technology definitely jumped, and you'll have a basis to test, other metal detectors you buy. Because, Craig and I buy metal detectors all the time. If we see something we like or we think it has potential, we buy it and, just give it a run. If it doesn't pan out to the way we think it is, well, then we kind of move on to a different machine. But we're machine junkies, man. We're addicted to this hobby so bad that we're just always looking for the next, detector that's going to, help us out, find more stuff. That's what the name of the game is, to use the technology the best way you can. Got a caller here. Hang on just a second. All right. See if I get him on here. Hey, caller, you made it on there. Who do we got there?
Yeah, I know. Finally.
Alfred, brother, I'm sorry. My button finger isn't working real good.
Oh, there.
I always got an excuse, brother.
Oh, hey. At least you got one. How's it going?
It's not too bad, man. Not too bad. Just running around like an idiot as always. So.
Yeah. How's it going, Craig?
Not bad. How you doing?
Oh, good. Hey, I had a quick question. Hey, did you ever use one of those HD coils on your desk?
Craig?
No, I haven't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I don't have the 4.0 or the 4.1 program, so I don't have a PC. So I have to do that first. But
you have to bump to that 4.0. Yeah.
I really don't use the Deus much. My friend uses it most of the time, but I used it a little bit last week, and I got a nice V nickel with it.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I tell you, I've been, of course, Don and I both been running our, we got that 4.0, and then you bump with the 4.1 updates, more basically just on for the big coil. But I've been running that elliptical, and it does okay as far as separation, especially when you get in that hot program and run full tones. It does pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It does pretty good. But of course, if and like Derek said earlier in the show, and that's the biggest thing. It's fine to have the readouts and all that. Listen for the tones. The tones are going to tell you everything.
That's right.
I mean, I don't even look at my screen because those are a so percentage. Well, it could be this where that tone's going to tell you. That tone's going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, you're not going to. I always tell guys, they say, "Oh, yeah, you'll know what you're going to dig in the ground before you dig it." Don't, that's not always right. That's a loaded question, so to speak. You don't know until you dig it out of the ground.
You're giving yourself a better chance of finding something good.
Right.
It's by going for these tweaks. Especially the high tone tweaks. I've dug real tweaky shots where it doesn't even come back in one direction.
Right.
And I go, man, that sounds it's just a nice high tone, tweak, but it's hard to get people, a lot of people I watch, and I've seen people, I watch these videos and I see these guys and they're swinging too fast, to get a tweak like that. When you get in an area, you want to go slower, especially if it's hammered. You don't want to swing like you normally do. You want to really bear down and try to get where you can hear one of those tweaks. Well, and that's the way I do on that with that HD coil, little 9x5 elliptical. Swing a little bit slower because, and the thing is, I tell some people, they say, well, why do you use multi-tone? Because multi-tone's where you're going to hear those tweaks, and at least I do. And I know that Don and I were at an old plantation site that was just loaded people do horse shows and stuff like that and all, and board horses. So we were hitting horseshoe nails, horseshoes, just one right after the other. But if you catch, just listen and slow down and catch that tweak. Well, Don pulled an 1850 something French coin out. I pulled, of course, a pocket watch that's just been totally destroyed, and a tax token to Louisiana, but we just ran out of time. I mean, we hunted this place 3 days and still didn't, maybe a 1/100th of the area that we really need to hunt. That's all we hunted, but you just got to listen to those tweaks.
But, I've noticed with these machines too, Chris, that especially the one I'm working with now, that there is nuance in the tones now in these digital machines. Or they're starting to come out because this one, unmistakable that it's, even on an air test, as I bring the item back, air tests don't tell you anything other than just how the VDIs are and stuff usually. But as I'm bringing it back, it's giving me, this is actually a 6-tone machine. And you can adjust this thing around, but you can run this like a quarter and you start moving it off the coil. It's giving you the same tone, but as you get farther and farther away from the coil, it has a tinier sound to it. And I'm like, oh, that's a perfect example of a deep quarter. You're going to get the signal, but it's going to be the same tone, but you're going to have a tinniness sound to it, so you'll know it's deep even before you even pinpoint and start digging. You'll know, okay, this is going to be a deeper coin, deeper item. I thought it was really cool. Yep. But the recovery delay, oh my God, it's just as fast as a Deus, I think, if not faster. I mean, you can't get much faster than a Deus or the Bliss Tool as far as recovery delay goes. But this one is right up there. I was like, holy cow. And, you got to listen to the sound of a machine has always been better for me than watching a VDI or a analysis screen or whatever. They give you information, more information so you can kind of narrow it down. But man, listen, your ears are sensitive to differences, and these are differences that I can put on video, but you may not be able to hear it. Unless you're in person right there with it, because the video. Now this microphone I have for my GoPro, it's a Rode mic. It has they call it a dead cat is what it's actually. I had it out here when I shot this video. It was windy. The brush was all blowing around and everything. You barely heard wind at all. So I'm hoping with this microphone, it will be sensitive enough to start picking up on these subtleties. And you'll be actually, as a person watching the video, you'll be able to hear what I'm hearing, and the nuance in it. And I think that's the way to go with these machines. Any experienced hunter will tell you, well, I wasn't getting a real good VDI number, but man, it sounded good. They're listening. They're going by sound. And even the best hunters know that. You gotta. I mean, I saw was it Chuck Smiley or whatever up there in Chicago when I was hunting with them, and Josh Kimmel and Chicago Ron and everything for that hunt. He got over a target, and I put it on video, and he says, well, it's a dime at like 9 inches. I know it has to be, but it doesn't. It's just not reading up real good. So he kicked some dirt out of the way, did it again, and he says it's 9 inches down. He digs down, it's a silver dime, just like he called it. Yeah. But the machine itself wasn't. Yeah. I think he was using the CTX, but it just was just too deep for that. For the screen to work properly. Meters were like that too. You and Craig talk about meters the same way. Well, it wasn't really doing anything on the meter, but it sounded good. So you dig it up and it turns out to be something good, so you know what to look for the next time. It's not like it's giving you an iron grunt or a broken up signal. If it's locking on and you're getting a high tweak out of it.
It is.
Yeah. Dig it up,
Derek, yeah, and that's what I did like over in Louisiana. It's been about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. We were out in this one field, and I was digging out Burnside, and everybody says, well, what are they ringing up as? I said, they don't ring up as anything.
Yeah.
Said, well, what do you mean? I said, they're so deep that they don't ring up. You get no VDI number in, but you just hear that, and it's a faint tweak.
Yep, little tweak.
Real faint. Yep, and I mean, it is, you better have good ears, but,
I did have
I don't know how many of those.
Yeah, I did that with the Bliss tool one time. I was out here. I think I put the video up talking about whisper tones with the V6, and it's like you can definitely hear it if you have headphones. I got this one with the speaker. I had the speaker on. I didn't have the headphones on, but that's why I said you use headphones, because you'll catch these imperfections when you go over. You may not be reading up a VDI number or nothing else, but you can hear it beep beep, and it's repeatable.
Yeah.
Dig it, because it's something really deep.
Oh,
and I've been shoulder deep on targets, guys. I mean, with Bliss tool, and it doesn't happen all the time, but man, I've dug up like old irons, old whatever. I mean, it's metal, yes, but it's a relic, and shoulder deep on that. That's crazy depth. But I was it was locking on. I knew it was iron because it was letting go. I'm like, man, what is that? I got to dig it up to see. And then, digging and digging. Pretty soon you're down 1.5 feet, and you're like, I might as well just dig it up now. So you're really making a hole then.
Yeah.
But
well,
go ahead.
Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm. You just got to take it.
When I had the V5, and I took that V5 up to that DIV, and I mean, with just a stock coil, I was digging pistol bullets at 12, 14 inches with it.
Yep.
And everybody says, well, real app machine's not going to do this, not going to do it. Well,
yeah, it is.
I'm sorry. I disappoint you, but there was a guy out there with a V3 doing the same thing.
Yep. I had it's a machine that has, you just got to know, you got to take your time with it at first, but once you get your mind wrapped around it, man, you tell you what, I can squeeze out some hideous power out of that machine and make the machine is stable. It's not chatty or nothing like that. You can squeeze some major out of the V6s. Oh my God. You run that iron ore mode in turbo, and it's like, I got guys on the beach, we're digging mercury dimes at 16 inches down with a 15-inch coil. I mean, just pounding. They're calling me up. Oh my God, you're not going to believe I'm digging mercury dimes on the beach. That's like unheard of down here. I mean, these beaches are hunted so hard, and we were hunting right in the pathway. It's just, you gotta. Any machine you use, I see some guys use, like Brandon with the AT Pro. I mean, the guy knows his stuff about the AT Pro. He's making that machine. It's probably he's got it to the verge of where it anybody else would probably, not anybody else, but I mean, a lot of people would use it and think, oh, that's not a good signal. But Brandon knows. I mean, he's spent enough time with it,
Oh yeah.
and he gets that high twig. Okay, I'm digging it, and it's even if you have to dig 3 pieces of junk metal, but every 4th piece is a quarter or something like whatever, some good target, it's doing its job. I see more guys on the beach. They I don't want to dig pull tabs, so they notch them all out. Well, you forget that gold. Yeah, the gold, the whatever. I mean, gold's
the rings and all right.
Yeah, they're losing everything. And believe it or not, a women's platinum gold ring reads up as a 22 or 23 on a White's machine. So if you're notching out pull tabs, square tabs, you're knocking out platinum gold. I mean, not that you're going to find a bunch of those, but when you do, buddy, that's worth a lot of money. And it's, if you're searching for a ring for somebody, I know Mike Miller does that. He's found, I don't know, 35 or 40 rings for people last year, probably more than that. But I mean, every time I talk to him, he's part of that ring finders group. Well, the whole club is, and they'll go out there in force. I mean, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys looking for lost engagement rings or whatever the people want them to look for, and help them find. And these guys are really, really proficient about it. But they'll tell you, man, you got to be down there right. But I had my machine up where I wouldn't dig bobby pins. I never dug a bobby pin with the bliss tool. I have to say that on the beach. Now, my Beach Hunter ID, I'd hit those bobby pins, but I could tell what they were by the way they sounded. But yeah, I mean, I never dug a bobby pin with the doggone bliss tool at all. That blew my mind. But, I could tell bottle caps, but I still dig them because I could be wrong, you know what I mean? But every time I'd call it, it just has a performance. It's a lot higher performance. But you got to know how to harness it, too. I mean, I've seen with the V3s, the guys they'd buy it, and they're experienced hunters like I am and everything. And I had a couple of them, man. It's not working right. It's too noisy, and they have the gain at 10. Well, you turn any machine up full blast, and it's going to. I don't care if you're using whatever you're using. It's going to. It
doesn't matter.
No, but you can't. You gotta start off low. That's what I was telling Craig. I don't know if you heard me or not. With testing this machine out, I think I'm going to take it out of the box. I'm going to charge it up. I'm going to turn that machine on. Literally figure out how to turn it on. Turn the volume up. And I'm going to do those tests with it at first to see what it'll do. And you'll see it just like me. I mean, I don't have any time with this machine at all, but what the other ones are doing, it's really got me thinking about that. Turn it on and go, because that's what some people will do. So if they have the settings right on that to begin with, and it's only going to get better after that, because you're like me, Chris, you're going to tweak that baby. Let's get the power out of it.
That's what I did.
Get the recovery delay right. Once you have that all fixed up, man, I mean, you're golden. But if you could do it right out of the box like that, I think that's the way to go. It's a standard that, we have to come up with. I'm going to do that. Come up with just basic standards, because most of the machines you get out there, with the exception of 2 or 3, a 9-inch dime is really hard for most machines. That's you may get a signal, but you're not going to get a good VDI and stuff. It's going to be jumpy. I think if we kept it like that, and that way, I'm going to set up that area just for new machines. I think, as I buy them, just see what they'll do, and if it has that performance out of the box, then it's going to have more when you get it. So,
well, I never did, and still to this day have never opened that bliss tool instruction book.
Bad boy. That's I don't know.
But it's easy to. I basically what I did is I watched videos and just kind of said, well, kind of watched how you and Derek were doing it, and I thought, well, this is what I need to do. The one thing you did tell me, and it was a game changer. When you ground balance it, get that piece of ferrite and ground balance it with that ferrite, and that's all you got to do.
Yep.
And believe me, that's all. Everybody would look at me saying, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm ground balancing." What are you ground balancing? You're just waving your hand in front of a coil. I said, "Well, I don't know, but it sure works this machine." They never tell me.
They all thought I was.
Ferrite.
Yeah, they all thought I was on something when I told them to, on the beach to turn the ground balance down to 0 on both the coarse and fine, and run the machine. Everybody thought I was out of my mind, but I tell you what, we hit a gold chain at 12 inches down in the wet salt sand.
Yeah.
to see your detector do that. I mean, the bliss tool is vicious, man. I tell you, it just, I only tell people half of what the machine will do, and that's all I ever did because it's like information overload. You know, they just seeing's believing, and if they don't see it, they don't believe it. So, you know, me and Craig really, I mean, I know Craig did too. He turned way back on the settings, you know, as far as what he told people, just not because we didn't want them to know. It's just because you have to progress with any machine you buy. You're going to have to progress with, and and to understand why we're getting to these conclusions. And I could set you up to anybody to go out on a beach with a bliss tool and use it, but there's other factors too. And with any machine you use, you know, they'll say, "Oh, this is an all-terrain detector." No, it isn't, because if it can't adjust to wet salt sand, if it can't adjust to mineralized soil, you know, down the line, then it's not considered an all-terrain detector as far as I'm concerned. You know, it's a machine, but if you put on their all-terrain, you know, you take any VLF up there to Culpeper, not any, but I mean the most of them. You're not going to be able to use them. It's only going to get like an inch or two down in the ground. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be unstable. You know, I've seen it happen up there too, because I went to the next DIV hunt after you, and it's like, you know, the bliss tool shined. I mean, it's a different, it's a VLF, but it has like pulse-like depth, but it's like in between. It doesn't really have a specification because it's using the technology in a different way. But I think a lot of these other detectors now they're finding out people, you know, in the hobby, us relic hunters and coin hunters, gold prospectors, we want performance. We want legitimate performance. We don't care about a lot of the little bells and whistles unless they are going to increase the power of the detector or the performance of the detector. That's what's important. I mean, we're not, after you buy one or two metal detectors and you've been in the hobby for 4 years at least, or whatever, you know, if you're really into it, you don't care about you know, what the screen says. You know, you want to know what the meat and potatoes is of the machine. That's the way I am, anyways. I'm assuming you are too, Chris, because I know the way you hunt.
Well, you can ask Craig, and I know Craig's done this. He's probably hunted using those old white machines where we didn't have any VDI.
Nope.
We had a single tone.
A meter, if you were lucky.
Yeah, Soras. I used the Soras that didn't, you know, just no meter at all. I used Nautilus that didn't have a meter.
Yeah.
You know, even when I used the Explorers, I didn't use the meter. I used actually had a XY linear screen.
Linear screen.
There was no numbers. You had an XY axis, and if it was all the way to the right at the top, it was probably a silver dollar or a belt buckle or something like that, something big, you know, high, you know, real conductive, you know, material. And if it was at the bottom, at the far left, it would probably be like a nail.
So, well, you know, I use that XY screen on that day. It's that hot program. Don kind of got me hooked on it, and just running full tones and you know, just basically running it. I switch between frequencies. I go 14s, 28 sometimes. Just depends what I'm comfortable with. But
sometimes you can't use. Yeah, sometimes you can't use the lower ones. They get too much EMI and stuff.
Yeah, they do.
It's, you know,
I use that, but I.
Go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to say, you know, even on the meters, Craig would talk about watching a meter on these older machines, it wouldn't really ring up, but it would spike. You know, I mean, it had that spike in there on the meter, and he's hearing a tone. I mean, you know, it just can't process. I mean, we're talking, you know, when you think about it, though, even 5 inches, 6 inches down, if it can tell how deep something is or get a lock on it as far as VDI, and I've noticed this with these newer machines, too, the jump on the machines I'm working with now are not as drastic as machines prior to this. Where, like, okay, I'm just using it as a total example. We don't beat up on metal detectors here because, well, every metal detector will find you something. But just using it as an example, like the the F75 from Fisher or the AT Pro, what the jump from on the VDI number screen when you go over a target, it could go to 30 to 60 to 90 to 30 to 54 as as you swing the coil over it. It's jumping around a lot, but it has the tweaking you're listening for as far as tone goes. These machines I got now, they don't jump near as bad. They're jumping 5 VDI numbers tops, and it's always like if it's a penny, they're jumping from like maybe 75 to 81. On a penny or a dime, mostly on pennies, it'll jump a little bit, but it's nowhere near the drasticness of jumping 20 numbers. So it's but when you pinpoint it, even the low end detector, when I pinpointed with it, it's reading up within an inch of where I buried it at. That was like, okay, we're talking 5, 6, 7, 8 inches down. It's telling me within an inch or so how deep the item is. That tells me the technology, that part of the technology has improved a lot, because I know that I'm just using like some of the White's machines I used. The pinpoint worked good, and you could tell where the item was for the most part, but the depth at what it was at, it would maybe say 4 inches, it's really 7, or say 7 inches, it's only 4. So as they get these chips are getting better, I think, is what it is, and it's a lot more accurate, and that's nice to see. I'm hoping in another 5 or 6 years, technology will jump more, where the VDI system, I'm calling it, will catch up to the machine itself, and actually, when you get a solid repeatable signal, it's giving you a solid repeatable VDI number. And I guess it just go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah. No, but you were talking about pinpointing. Not to go real quick. I found that I don't use the pinpointers that are on the machine. I just don't do it.
I don't either, really.
I strictly, and especially like on that Deus Creator and on the Bliss tool, I do the old coil wiggle, I call it. Yep. You can get a better, precise spot where it's at by doing that.
Yep.
I mean, that's me personally, and it seems to work.
Well, it's amazing. You can almost, you can dig such a smaller plug, especially if it's a coin.
Oh,
yeah. It's amazing. We used to have to dig this big plug, and it's a superior way of doing it. I mean, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely.
All the machines are like that.
Well, a lot of these machines too, and I know you guys know this, and a lot of the experienced guys on here, like Bill and Bill Marsh and everything, know when you find out where your machine pinpoints. A lot of these machines pinpoint right underneath where the coil shaft connects into the coil. Right there is where it pinpoints at, except, a few brands like the Bliss tool's at the front or back, but most of the detectors I've had other than the Bliss tool have always pinpointed right there. So once you come over it, it sounds real good, and it's right in that line with that as you're swinging it. If you just turn 90 degrees and do it again, so you're Xing off the target, just listen to where the beep is the best. That's your pinpoint right there. You don't even need to hit that pinpoint button if you don't want to.
No, you don't.
It's just, it comes with the, and this is mostly for the newer people in the hobby, but you don't have to have a pinpoint. We don't have one on the Bliss tool, and I can get within an inch. I dig a plug, what, Chris, about maybe 6-inch diameter plug, whatever my shovel is, and I dig down. It's always in the center of the hole. I mean, every once in a while you get like a piece of silverware or something that's up on end on the side of the hole, but it doesn't happen very often. Usually it's always in the plug, and I know some of the other machines I've had, I've scratched more items with those machines by using the pinpoint.
Yeah.
Because of the way that they're picking up, you'll dig down. Son of a gun. It was like I always had to make my holes about 3 inches wider than I wanted to, because I was nailing pennies, Indian heads and mercury dimes with the shovel. And I'm like, wow, I dug all the way out here. So it does
like
that.
The deeper the target was, the worse it got,
right.
Trying to pinpoint.
Exactly. And I hate that when you damage an item with your shovel. And we've all done it. I mean, we've all done it. It pisses us off, because, here you have a really nice little relic, nice patina, and here's a scratch right through it. It always hits on the worst part of the coin or item. And your buddy, Craig, remember your buddy told us he finally found a breastplate again, and the last one he had found was 35 years ago, and he cut the breastplate in half with his shovel because he pinpointed it, drove the shovel in, and cut the breastplate. So I mean, it does happen to the best of us, but I never had that problem with the Bliss tool, and this. I'm seriously, man. You guys are going to be impressed with this machine. You're going to be like, oh my god, I can't believe it does that, because that's what I did when I used the low end detector. I was like, oh my god, this is not right. This is like a mid range detector right now, just with the performance it has, and it has a price tag of a low end detector. I'm like, what the heck is going on? They definitely have stepped up the game, and I think that's what the Equinox did. In a way too, is that they brought out performance, a higher performance level for the kind of machine it was. You're getting at least with the Equinox, you're getting $1,000 machine. You might as well say for what is it, 800, Chris, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 800.
That's like the machine I'm testing right now. I know what I'm not going to give price over the radio, but it's well within. It's definitely, you're getting a good deal for what they're asking for it, and that's what impressed me about it. I'm like, oh my god, because usually they want to jack the prices up, but this company's going somewhere. The one, and I just got to talk. I got to talk to the owner probably tomorrow or something like that, and see if I can't. I want you guys to hear about this. It's been killing me not to tell you guys about this machine. Just because I was so shocked. I know. I'm getting excited, brother. I don't get to, you don't, when you see something good, you want your friends to know about it, so.
Getting back to that pinpoint, I found one thing on that Deus, especially with that little elliptical coil, is that I'll go and get a good hit, and then I'll go and swing it at a kind of a normal speed, so to speak.
Right.
And I can kind of get a, inch and a half, 2 inch area where it is, but then I can do just like I did with the Bliss tool. I can go back and swing a little bit faster, and I can get that diameter where I'm at narrowed down a little bit.
Right.
That was one thing good about that Bliss tool. You could swing it fast, come across a piece of iron, and even if it was big iron, if you swung it fast enough, and it still was scratchy and all that, you knew it was iron. And definitely, I mean, I tried that and said, well, that's what happened. And same thing between the nickel and a pull tab on that machine.
Right.
If you swung it just a little bit faster when you were pinpointing, you
clips.
could hear that nuance, just that bit, you could tell.
Yeah, it's a little clip at the end. And, it just, even in all metal, when I did that video, I showed Ahmed that when I was over in Bulgaria. He didn't even know his machine would do that. With being in just flat out all metal mode, a bottle cap will not pinpoint in the same spot in both directions, but a quarter will.
Both directions.
Both directions, right. And the bottle cap was always 3 inches off. Most iron items are 3 inches off. I just don't like that.
Off,
yeah, 3 inches off when you go from, say, swing east to west, and you get a point.
Coil.
Yeah, it's 11-inch coil, but you mark the ground right where you think it is, then turn and go north and south, and it'll be 3 inches off from that other point if it's iron. If it's a non-ferrous item, dead on every time. And that's just a tell. I mean, that's something the machine does that they didn't expect it to do, and they didn't even know it would do it. It just.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just spending time with the machine and trying stuff. One guy called me. Well, I didn't know what to do. It was doing this and that. I said, do you try to turn any knobs? Well, no, I didn't want to take the presets off. I said, well, sometimes you have to. I mean, your environment dictates. That's why, people would call me and ask me, well, what settings do I use up here? I don't know. I don't live there. Every metal detector is not going to work the same in my area down here in southern, central Florida as it would like in Michigan. It's going to be a little bit off, so I can't, if I've hunted the area, like I hunted Culpeper, so I know right what to tell guys, and I've been there, hunted there and everything else. And I was like you, Chris, I'm digging Sharps bullets at 11 inches down in Culpeper.
Yeah.
That's doggone good for any metal detector.
And nobody would believe us. Nobody would believe us.
I had people right there with me, and they're like, oh my gosh, he says, what are you using? I had to show them, and but you can ground balance a hot rock to the Bliss tool and be able to run it. And pick it up. And I can actually I can ground balance to the hot rock, right? Put a bullet on top of the hot rock, put a bullet underneath it, and get it right through the hot rock. There's no other metal detector that I've really dealt with that could do that. I mean, most of the time, people, hot rocks are a menace to a lot of people. You could tell right when you go over a hot rock. I know you know, Chris, because you go over a hot rock, it gives you that elongated. Whoop, okay, that's a hot rock.
It gives a weird, funky signal.
Yep.
I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's a.
Well, Craig, what's the soil up there where you're at now, Craig? Is it mineralized or is it?
No, it's actually made out of buffalo poop.
Craig's digging in buffalo poop.
Was just herds of buffalo for tens of thousands of years, and that's what but it's all limestone, and it doesn't seem to be mineralized that much. It's just limestone doesn't seem to be very mineralized.
Right.
It's a weird rock. You get all these weird erosions on them. Weird effects. We found Mike was digging for bottles in the backyard the other day and came up with this big rock, and it's got a hole drilled through it. And it's completely round, but it's maybe twice as big around as a pencil. And I've seen like mining, where they bored holes in, but they were bigger. But this, I don't know what this is. Did an Indian do it, or
is it thick? Is it a thick rock? I mean, how big are we talking? Softball size?
Well, it's square. It's kind of square, and it's probably maybe 1.5 inches thick, maybe 2 inches.
Do you think it was made for? I mean, the first thing that came to mind when you said it had a hole right through. Do you think it was for starting a fire, putting a rod? I don't know. I just thought of that when you said it.
I don't know either.
Like you put your Kindle in or whatever down on the bottom. Your wicking.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy. It's going to go there. But on those hot rocks, you were telling about those hot rocks. Yeah, you're so right. I mean, I got to give Bliss credit. They were. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, no, the machine. I tell you guys, like I said on the radio show, 2 weeks ago. Hey, Craig and I stand behind this machine. Will do what we say it'll do. It's a damn good product. It's just that the politics that I had to deal with was just a little too much for me to swallow. So, I mean, I had to make a change, but I stand behind it. I mean, everything I've ever done with that machine, it's always just floored me. I haven't had very much luck, not that kind of luck with other detectors that had a versatility like that. And, as a guy that likes to relic hunt and do all this other kind of hunts, I mean, it just worked out for me really good. So, yeah, it's definitely a machine that can be learned by a newcomer. I have several guys that bought them, and they never even held a metal detector in their hands out of any kind, and they're doing great with it. They had to have some instruction, and I still have a guy up in Maine that calls me every once in a while and has minor things, whatever. He didn't understand what the machine was doing. Once I told him and gave him some settings, he's like, "Oh, okay, now I see how it works. Okay, good." It's just pretty much learning it. Every machine has a learning curve to it. You just got to be willing to take that extra little bit of time to get an idea of what it's doing, and then you can add on it. Even the guys with the Equinoxes, I see, and I've seen some guys that are not doing as well with them. And it does come down to the settings you're using and what you're expecting the machine to do. You don't want to bind up your machine. And what I mean by that is you don't want to add a bunch of discrimination. Is a depth killer most of the time. You can't, and I see guys running foot notching out way up there and everything. And if that's the kind of hunting you want to do, by all means do it. I just, you can't expect the machine to get as good of depth when you have discrimination up so high, because it's like putting a restrictor plate on a NASCAR. It's going to keep you limited. You take that thing off of there, open that machine up a little bit, let it breathe. Even with the Deus or whatever, you got tones, so if it's an iron tone or not, and then you got your upper tones, if it's a tweak or a higher pitch, that is something good. So open your machine up, let it breathe a little bit, and let it use its performance that it has. Don't restrict it down so bad. And that's one of the biggest things. I don't want to dig nails. Well, hey, you got to dig some junk, or you're not going to get treasure.
That's right. You got to dig the trash to get the treasure.
Yeah, everything's not going to be 3 inches in the ground. We've been on a lot of different machines. I've dug V nickels at 10 inches with the whites, and
Mm-hmm.
it was solid, repeatable signals with small coils. So, it is possible. You
Yeah.
just got to be open-minded enough just to not be so dead set about digging pull tabs and those, nails, and you got to leave it right at the fringe. Set the discrimination right at the fringe, so yeah, it may sound off, but you'll know it right away when it cuts loose that it's not going to be a good item. It's going to be an iron item. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to just understand your detector a little bit, but don't. It's like the kiss of death, man. Discrimination is like it just can really hurt you in a lot of cases.
Well, that's one thing I like about the list tool. I got to give it credit too.
Mhm.
Hunting in tall grass or fields where there's corn stalks, I don't have to have that coil right next to that ground.
Nope.
I mean, I was hunting down here, and I found coins and this and that, and I mean, I had and swinging through tall grass, and I was 3-4 inches above the soil.
Right.
And the thing, and it was pounding.
Well, you found
Yeah,
that
I
you found that
just-
30 ringer up there in Culpeper like that. Nobody else could hunt the area that you were hunting because the grass was so high. And I think you said you were like 5
Yeah, well,
inches
right
up,
there-
6 inches above the ground, and you got that bullet down 4 inches
yeah.
or something. It's like,
yeah,
okay.
right. I was right. Yeah, right in the center of a between two hills, and there was a kind of a marshy deal right there, and high grass, and nobody was hunting. So I said, I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to just kind of see what I can do. Well, I found that bullet, flat buttons, and everything right there in that deal, and they were a good probably 6, 7, 8 inches down.
Yep.
But nobody wouldn't hunt it.
Yeah, I did that up there when I was
Yeah.
hunting underneath the high tension wires with the V6, and a lot of guys couldn't hunt up there because it's just so much EMI for them. I just tuned it right
Yeah.
out. That was a nice adjustment for frequency offset is what it amounted to. But we have such a versatile kind of so many like a 600 hertz difference between minimum and maximum. That's a lot of space to adjust to tune out EMI. Craig's been hunting he had high tension wires 10 foot above his head because he was on the side of a hill, and he's hunting no problem. But even a V5 couldn't get in there. The V6 could, but a CTX couldn't, Deus couldn't. It was just it's just too much for the machine to handle because they didn't have the adjustment room on there, which you don't need that a lot of times. I mean, I talk about it because it's nice to have that, when you need it. Most of the time, most of the guys are hunting out in the field. They don't really need it that bad. They're not dealing with that situation. Are you dealing with a lot with Wi-Fi signals, Chris? Have you guys run into that, you and Don? Okay, because Craig and I have been. We hit these Wi-Fi signals, man. I tell you, or whatever it is. It's coming off these routers and stuff when you get into like a residential neighborhood.
Yeah.
My gosh, it gets getting really bad. The bandwidth, I don't know whether it's cutting in or whatever. But you can adjust that out too. With a lot of these detectors, you can adjust that part of it out. But yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, well, like I say, I haven't come across it.
Yeah.
Of course,
Have
like
you
I
ever
say,
heard
I
of the wires being shielded nowadays? Like, for some reason, I don't seem to be getting as much EMI, and they just put new wires up, power lines and stuff, and changed all the poles and stuff all along our street.
I'm assuming that they probably could have.
I'm wondering if there's the wires look different. They look thicker almost.
Yeah, they might have a
And I'm
different
wondering if
layer on
maybe
there.
there's some kind of shielding around them or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would think that
I
there
don't
would
either.
be, only because that seemed like something they would improve on over the years. It used to be that the insulation was so thin you could rip it off, but nowadays it's this newer pieces of it's
These
thicker.
poles that were the ones that were in there were from 1974.
Right.
I think they hadn't been. Maybe some of the wires have been changed over the years. I don't know, but they look pretty old. But
Well, I know metal
I was
detectors.
wondering,
The metal detectors are getting better shielded coax cable. For the coil cables, they're shielded now a lot better than they used to be. That's helping us out too. All detectors, because EMI is a kiss of death. There's some places, and Craig, like even with the Deus, there's places you couldn't even take the Deus into, or the CTX or whatever.
Well, the thing with the Deus, I found that some machines won't work at all, and the Deus will chatter like crazy, but then the signal will break through the chatter,
Right.
and you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
Yes,
But,
and that's what I found now, Craig.
And that really makes a difference. I mean, you can put up with the noise as long as you're going to get a good signal every once in a while, but it's tough. I hate chattering machines, but I noticed that there's some machines that you get in there and you just can't hear anything. You just don't get a signal at all. Especially if it's deep, and that you'll still get a pretty decent signal with the Deus. It'll just cut right through the distortion.
Right.
But
Well, Jason on here, he's talking. Jason, I'm not sure if I've seen you on here before. I know you said you listened to some episodes. He hauls campers and stuff all around the country. Buddy, you need to get into metal detecting because you're going to all kinds of good places. Just make sure you're legal to hunt there. That's what I'd like. When I drove truck, I drove for 18 years over the road, and I was all over U.S. and Canada most of the time. Man, I'd see so many places I wanted to, take a metal detector out, but I never had time to do it on the road. But yeah, if you can find that time, buddy, you can hit a lot of good spots going around the country. You get down this way, give me a buzz, man. I got spots you can hunt down here in Central Florida. I don't know what we'll find, but you never really do anyways. But we always seem to find something good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah.
Well, guys, I'm gonna get off here because I got to get up early tomorrow morning. We've had that offshore technology conference all week, and
Yep.
and it's been pounding me, and I got to get up early tomorrow morning. And I got a week's worth of catch up now for customers. So
I got a joke
but
for you,
everybody,
Chris.
You guys have
I got a joke for you real quick. I said, you work with the oil company, right? You put inspect oil lines and stuff like that. Is that what you're doing now? Pipelines?
No. I sell pumps at pressure test.
Oh, okay.
Pipelines. And
I thought you were
chemical
working for the
injection
fuel
pumps.
company or something like that because, I said our prices of fuel jumped 20 cents a gallon over the last week. And I told you, and Pauline was saying something to me. She goes, I said, I don't know what's going on with these fuel prices and everything. And Pauline, the way Pauline is, she turns around and says, well, somebody in Louisiana broke a fuel fitting and now they had to raise the prices to cover the cost of that. I just busted out laughing. I thought it was hilarious. My wife can come up with one-liners. Broke a gas valve.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. When that gas prices start going up pump, it thrills me to death because what that means is it means that oil business is coming back and
Yep.
And profits are coming in and all that. So sometimes people are not in the oil business don't understand the price of oil dictates. Land or is it offshore? And this price has been going up a little bit. Of course, land is right now land.
I think didn't Congress put a tax on it? Didn't Congress put a tax or something on it?
They put some.
Yeah, I don't know.
They put some, but I know that there's still land price of barrel of oil is just great for land business. I mean, Odessa, Midland Odessa here, they're going 90 nothing there.
Well, Chris, I remember 20 years ago when I was still driving, I can remember when they were capping wells in Texas because the oil price was so low and they were capping them, and then bam, it's like now they're now Texas is back where it needs to be, and now they're up in Wyoming and all over the country with these because we have a lot of my friends are working oil fields. I think it's in Wyoming or up in Canada. I can't remember, but they live right here in Bushnell. But they took jobs and they're gone for 6 months at a time making money on drilling or putting pipelines in or whatever they're doing up there. Matter of fact, Brent, Brent, he calls in once in a while. He runs a Bliss tool. He literally takes a RV and wherever he gets his contract, he's an independent contractor and he's all around. He's up in Rochester, New York or down here in Florida or wherever. And that's what he does for a living. And he's independent. He's just kind of inspecting and making sure safety standards are good. I mean, oil's good for the economy. I just don't agree with sometimes they raise it like that. And, I think it's just consumers. We want to know what the heck's going on, most of the time. But
they really don't understand. It's hard to understand.
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, you guys take care, and you guys have a good night. And Jason, kind of just listen to these guys. Just kind of let him know. Listen to these guys and listen to what we're saying and watch those videos and read up on it. And you'll make a good choice. You'll make a good choice on the machine.
Yeah, half of it's just liking the machine you're using. When you get started
That's
with it.
right, and learning it.
Yeah, you can get yep.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Well, thanks for calling in, brother.
Oh, all right. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Catch you later.
Bye, man.
Yeah, we'll probably wrap up here in a few minutes, Craig. But yeah, sorry guys. I did start off late tonight, and I know some of you guys were just checking in here a little while ago. I was racing back for Tampa, and drive it like you stole it. That's what I say. I think I outran all the state troopers. That's good. They didn't come into the house, but I called Craig messaged Craig about 20 minutes before 8. I said, dude, I am not going to make it back to the house before 8 o'clock. And I didn't. I made it 10 after 8. So I had to hurry up and get everything set up. And that's just being busy. Every day, my neighbor comes over every once in a while. He says, man, you need to come over and have a beer and we'll sit down and BS for a while. And I said, man, as soon as I get a spare minute, I will, because he goes, I see you. And then you're gone. And then you're back. Then you're gone again. He goes, I don't even know where you go. I said, I'm all over the place, man. I have a friend call me, needs my help. I go there, and then I'll go to the VFW and help them out or whatever, go over, have a beer or something like that, and bounce down to Tampa. I'm bouncing off the walls half the time. I'm hoping to calm everything down, Craig, because I can't. Well, you've already told me you need to chill out because you're doing too much.
Yeah.
I'm staying active. That's good. So.
Yeah.
Hey, my clothes are falling off me now. I got to buy new clothes. That's the Bliss Tool beer diet's working real good. So.
Oh yeah, I mean you really lost a lot of weight. I mean,
yeah, I'm down to.
It's really noticeable.
I'm down to 272 now from 300 and. Oh, I was 335. I think I was 340 pounds about 2 years ago. And this year I've gone down from a 58 waist to probably around a 40 now, and that's just been in the last year. But I'm not like eating. Oh, I'm not doing the exercise thing and the weight loss junk. I just work outside. I do whatever I'm doing, but I think I'm eating a little smarter. Maybe I drink a few more beers. I'm good. But I don't know. I drink light beer. That's what it is. I'm not getting, but whatever works, And I think it's just plain being more active, and I'm sure the stress level probably helped out a little bit, even though I don't want to say that. But just the worry factor, and but yeah, I'm feeling pretty good, man. I can. You saw the video, man. I got to buy new jeans, man. They look like parachute pants on me now. My wife was laughing at me. She goes, you have to wear a belt with yours or yours will fall down around your ankles. I said, yeah, just about. So, hey, it's happened before. It's happened. I didn't put the belt on, go out there to get the mail or something and have to hold my drawers up like the gangbangers do, Got to hold on to my pants and walk.
Maybe you need suspenders.
Yeah. No, so the wife said I could buy a few new pairs of jeans. Because I told her, I said, pull like 7 inches of slack right like where my thighs are at. I pull the pants out. I said, yeah, I got parachute pants like MC Hammer, buddy. So I've been. She says, you really don't need to do that dance on the video. I said, no, that's when I find a gold coin. I'll do the MC Hammer. I can't touch this dance or something like that. So losing my mind.
I don't think you're ready for the skinny jeans yet, are you?
No. I don't do skinny jeans. I like work jeans, man. I do work. She bought me these jeans. This has been a couple years ago, but they were like, I guess it's been about 15 years ago. She bought me this pair of jeans. I think they were $100 a pair, something like that. And she got them, got a good sale on them or whatever. I'm not lying to you, Craig. They ripped like the, first month I had them. I caught them on just like I do it with regular jeans, and it wouldn't do nothing at all to the jeans. But with these jeans, the seam ripped right out of the side of my leg, right where your knee is. I'm like, what the heck? I mean, you pay big money for stuff. It's supposed to last. I'm real picky about that. I've gotten to the point now where if I'm going to buy a new pair of boots, I'm going to buy a good pair. You could buy a $50 pair of boots 3 times a year, or you buy one pair that's going to last you 2 years for $150. You know what I mean? So I've gotten smarter about that kind of thing. But the durability factor, that's where it seems to lie, because I've gotten products, just random products that you'll buy one and it's like it's like got substance to it. It's kind of like the drones that I got my uh, uh, Spark in, Spark drone. My daughter and my son-in-law actually got it for me for my birthday. But at any rate, I pulled the controller out. I couldn't believe the weight of the controller. I mean, because I had another drone, and it was like using a play toy. This thing actually feels heavier than like a controller for like a PlayStation or an Xbox. It's got some weight to it. I like that idea, the durability factor.
Well, a lot of it's the battery.
Yeah, yeah. But it's nice to have a product that's not going to break, like that Detechnix pinpointer. We were talking about that last week. That thing, I beat the heck out of mine, and it works. It hasn't cracked. I haven't even had to replace the little rubber boot on the end of it there. They always give you like two or three of them when you buy the pinpointer. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't even remember where I put them at. I've had that for 2.5 years. Yeah, 2.5 years I've had that stupid thing.
Too. Yeah, I mean, we both got them about the same time.
Yep.
But I got an extra one now. I got Mike one at once, so I ordered two through Amazon.
Right.
And I decided I'll get one. I'll get an extra one in case something happens down the road.
Yeah, Jason. One thing I wanted to say too, Jason, if you're looking for a detector or any kind of like pinpointers, that kind of thing, log on to SeriousDetecting.com. Evan up there runs that show, and he's got a large inventory of different detectors and pinpointers and shovels and whatever you might need, but they're really good to deal with. I've known Evan for Craig, about 2 years now, and he's always straight up. He just he knows what he has there. He has a full crew, and they're going to treat you right.
He's got a big selection of detectors and all the equipment.
All the accessories. Yeah, he has all the accessories, and so definitely let him know I sent you. Just tell him Derek sent you. So, but if you have any questions, man, you can ask me on here, or you can message us on Facebook or emails. That's any of y'all. If you have a question about a metal detector, or which one you should get, or if the one you're getting is good enough, or what we know about it, I'm more than happy to help you out. It doesn't matter which detector you're getting. Now, if I don't know the answer, or Craig doesn't know it, we'll put you in touch with somebody that does. That's the way we've always done business. So definitely, check them out. And, if you have any questions, get back here or log on next, Saturday's show and put it on chat right here, because I know Bill or Chris Angle or somebody can help you out. These guys know their stuff too. So, but Craig, probably going to wrap it up for tonight. Still 10 o'clock. Yeah. I haven't had dinner yet. My wife's probably in there ready to divorce me right now. She goes, "You have to do the radio show." I said, "No, I'm in a hurry." So, gosh. All right. But Craig, guys, we'll talk on Saturday night. We're on every Thursday night and Saturday night, usually at 8 p.m. Eastern. And you can check out our Facebook page and YouTube channels. We have videos up there still, and in the show, of course. Be sure you like and follow us if you like the show and everything. Tell a friend, because we really don't advertise, and there's really no way other than our customers and of course our listeners here on Hardcore to get the word out. And there's a lot of different shows on Spreaker. Several metal detecting shows. I think you got Relic Roundup, History Seekers, Beyond Sight and Sound, Relic Mode, or Relic Radio, and All Metal Mode. That's just the metal detecting ones I know of. All global detecting too. So there's several metal detecting shows on Spreaker. There's home improvement ones. There's news, political stuff, everything on there. A lot of different channels. Some good, some bad, some indifferent, but it's going to give you something to entertain you. And you can download our shows too. And most of these shows you can download, put them on your phone. That way you can drive through traffic. You haven't got to listen to a bunch of commercials. You just put on, one of the shows right there, and you can just listen to us, as we talk about metal detecting. So check it out. And me and Craig will see you guys or hear you guys, or I don't know how you'd say that. We'll be on Saturday night, right, Craig? So
Yeah.
All right, guys. Have a good night. If you have a chance to get out detecting, have fun. Keep digging, and God bless.